Okay, here we go. This is going to be a round one matchup for the first ever versus 2PCG Invitational. I can tell that they're rolling for turn here, but I can't really make out who won that dice roll. Apologies. We will find out who's going first when they go first. So for this matchup, we have Jon Phillips on a MCU Doctor Strange deck, and we have Robert Smallwood on Outriders. I do not think it is that surprising that either of these players went with the main characters that they chose. Doctor Strange has exactly the kind of delicious combo-y nonsense that would let a player have infinite turns, which I can see how that would be appealing to Jon. And Robert, being the kind of let's play the best deck player that he is, Outriders seems like a pretty predictable option for a multiverse event. So let's get into these games. Now, for this first round, I have not accelerated the speed at which the game is being played. I know I've seen a few of the commentary videos that Stax has done. He did that, and I think that's cool. I just haven't figured out how to do that yet. So perhaps in future games I will speed it up a little bit so there will be less vamp time for me. But this is the first ever invitational we've done, and as such there have been some little bit of learning curve here and there. So as always, if anybody has feedback on how we can create a better entertainment product for people in the Versus community, you can get at me over direct message or Facebook or Discord, or reach out to Joe, the fearless leader of Team Build Phase. Alright, so looks like both players are drawing up. I think this is the initial hand, so there may yet be a mulligan before we get into the game here. So even though I was unable to tell who won the dice roll, I guarantee both players want to go first. While Smallwood, I'm sure, wants his Outriders to be able to be as aggressive as possible, even if the optimal turn... I think we can jump to the conclusion here that Jon Phillips is going to be running some kind of a combo with his Doctor Strange. And even though additional cards might be superior for that particular combo, I think it kind of makes sense that you would choose to go first just to deny Outriders that turn one wound before you have a chance to establish at all. So we got a mulligan on Jon's side here. And I think that might be emblematic of the two different deck styles, where, again, I'm not trying to give anything away about what any particular player is trying to do. Given the Doctor Strange main character on the table, I think we can automatically infer that Jon has some kind of a combo plan. Exactly what that combo is, I'm not sure, but there aren't that many tools available in the photographic universe. So I suspect his mulligan condition is going to be a lot harder to hit than playing Outriders. Given how strong Outriders are, Robert has a much wider range of potential plays. Okay, so we got a turn one Sunnydale, I think. So it's a yellow location and some primeval worms. I don't actually remember what those worms are called. But the worms, essentially, you can pay a yellow and you can make a character angry. So you can force your opponent to have to attack with a character. The suit up, where's that going? I assume that's going on to Doctor Strange to give him range so he can put one wound on the Outriders here turn one. Yep, that's exactly what's happening here. So again, I don't know if Jon wants to go first because that's the way he built his Doctor Strange, to go first. I suspect he wants to go first simply because giving Outriders... Oh, jeez, Frohickey. Alright. So it makes sense that before any power-up stuff would happen, Robert would want to play I Need Your Help. So he played Frohickey and went straight to main phase. So if he's holding another gunman in his hand, that I Need Your Help... Oh, jeez. Yeah, so now Rob's in the position where he gets to draw whatever the card is that he searched and put on top of his deck, and he gets to chip away at Jon's hand, which is, which is probably pretty bad for a deck that I suspect is a combo deck. Given that Jon's turn 1 play was the Ice Worms, I think he's probably going to want the COSs and is going to want to try to go infinite with this Doctor Strange. He's now had his hand chipped apart twice, so he's had to discard 2 cards at random. Rob has drawn 2 extra cards, both of which he searched for and placed on top of his deck with I Need Your Help. This is just, you couldn't have a stronger initial play. So what revealed the hand? Oh no, that's the discard. Oh, so it was 3. Okay, when he showed that extra Langley, I thought he was showing us the one already. Oh my god, and another one? So to be clear, Smallwood's opening hand was Frohickey, 3 Langleys, and a Byers. That's 5 of his 7 cards. So all 4 Langleys. What? This is unbelievable. I mean, you just can't have a better opener than that. So Jon started with 7 cards. He played the Ice Worms, he played a yellow, and he played Suit Up. So that's 3 of his 7. He's now been hit with all 4 Langleys. I'm pretty sure Jon has 0 cards in hand. That's an incredibly strong start. So it looks like Jon's turn 2 was play a resource and pass. Unbelievable. So Rob flipped I think it was a red that he flipped there, which is probably an activation for Widow, which guts whatever the last card was that Jon had in his hand, and he's back down to 0 cards. This seems like it's going to be short work here, folks. Which is what Outriders does. I mean, it does kind of make sense to hide the 1 wounded Outrider in the back row, but knowing that your opponent essentially has no cards in hand, that's just an incredibly strong start. I don't have the audio turned on for these games while I'm watching them, so I'm not totally sure what the effect was that caused Jon to have to shuffle his deck here. I think in future games I might have the game audio in one ear while I record the commentary, and that way I can be a little bit more on top of what the players are doing. Although, honestly, even if we only saw one half of this board, even if we couldn't see Jon at all and we could only see Robert's side of the board here, we still know what's happening. Outriders are doing Outrider things. That insane opener with... So Frohickey went from being, what does he start out as? A 1-3, and he got powered up 5 times. So even if we weren't looking at this gigantic wall of Outrider ferocious nonsense, Frohickey has become a threat. By himself, he is big enough to actually get some work done. Now, I think Rob probably has the right play here. Keep your Frohickey in the back, so that way he's protected. If you draw additional gunmen, you can throw them. Oh my god, Mordo. So I think while it's probably unnecessary, and it looks like another Black Widow activation there. While it's probably unnecessary to start tucking Outriders into the back like Rob has done here, why not? You know, why be so aggressive? Don't give your opponent even the smallest window to climb through. Frankly, the opening hand with... I guess maybe that wasn't fully an opening hand because Smallwood went second. He actually had 9 cards to look at, and maybe all 6 of those incredibly impactful opening turn cards were not in his mulligan. You know, it's possible he top-decked a Byers or top-decked that 4th Langley, but a significant percentage of those turn 1 plays had to be in his opening hand, and frankly, that just decides the game. I think what we have here is a combination of how strong Outriders is with how strong the Gunman package is. And what's he going to do here? Wait, what can Jon possibly do? Okay, so he gets a wound. He's got 2 wounds out of 16 that he still, well, out of total pool of 18. So there's 16 remaining wounds on these Outriders. He's got no hand, 2 cards in hand. And yeah, look at this. Anytime an Outrider takes a wound, Rob can just tuck him in the back, which prevents... Oh, no, he made him discard a COS. So yeah, the prediction that what Jon wanted to do here was essentially create an infinite loop with the level 2 Doctor Strange, I think is correct. We can now, based on the few cards we've seen from Jon's deck, we can fully suss out what his game plan was. And it just can't withstand having the hand shredded on turn 1, followed up by just the most aggressive string of attacks the game has to offer. So the Goose has to come down to take the Mordo out. I suspect that is to allow Heimdall to activate. So, well, no, that's not even going to be good enough. Because we're looking at turn 4. He spent 1 on Heimdall. He spent the other 3 on Goose to get Mordo. It must be Jon's turn 5. Oh yeah, Jon went first. So this is Jon's turn 5. So he does have the one extra recruit point to Heimdall and get Doctor Strange's unique level 1 supporting character out there with Christine. Now, unfortunately, with the way Skype works, it kind of crops the video a little bit weird. So Jon's Doctor Strange is out of frame at this point, but we know that he's there. Wounded up Benedict Cumbersnatch. So he's going to move a character. And it's, I mean, we've got 4 Outriders with 1 wound each. I mean, you can see Jon trying to make moves, trying to make smart plays. And Claws, oh, geez, another discard. I think that reduces Jon's hand back down to 0 again. I think this is the 3rd time in this game. We're only on Rob's turn 5, and Jon has had his hand completely emptied 3 separate times. I'm definitely in favor of something changing with the Gunman package. I don't know if the whole package needs to be changed or if it's just Langley. I know there's been some conversation about, all right, so that team attack there, he fully wipes the board. I guess that wasn't a team attack. It was probably one attack into Goose, and then probably on the far right here you see there's the two Outriders. I think those were the team attack. I guess he wouldn't even have to team attack into Heimdall. No, so it must have been 1, 2, 3. So there's been some talk about... I don't think he can play that. Oh, no. Another discard. Oh, my goodness. There's been some talk about how Lone Gunmen should only trigger the first time they're played. And it looks like that was a very quick game 1. And I don't know if the solution with Gunmen is that they only get to trigger the Lone Gunman thing once per turn, or if the solution is just ban Langley, which throws off the flavor pretty severely. It'd be weird to only have 2 of the 3 gunmen in the Lone Gunman package, or if potentially another solution is that Langley no longer discards a random card. Any one of those, I think, are worth considering. I think the cleanest, if maybe not the best flavor-wise, but the cleanest solution is you just ban Langley. So the Lone Gunman package goes from 16 cards down to 12, and you just have Byers, Frohickey, and I Need Your Help. Is that backbreaking to that package? I don't know. Possibly that makes it breaks it to the point where nobody wants to play it. But this idea that on turn 1 you can potentially force your opponent to discard 4 random cards, that's stupid. I don't think that should be a thing. While I'm all for games not dragging on until the end of time, I also think that there needs to be a game. And in a very real way, reducing your opponent to 0 cards in hand on turn 1 creates a non-game. And I I do not think anybody should want non-games. Yeah, at a tournament table, if you can force your opponent into having a non-game through your play, I think that's totally valid. But in general, I think game design and game balance should be set up in such a way that we have the smallest possible number of non-games. So no shade being thrown on Smallwood for playing the best tools in the toolbox, but he himself has publicly talked about how both Outriders and the Gunman package are problematic and balance issues. And I suppose that's probably a conversation for another time. So, getting back into game 2 here, it looks like Jon took a mulligan. And I cannot imagine Jon is going to opt to go second this game after choosing to go first the first game. So I think his plan has got to be to try to get some stuff down on the board before Smallwood can just run away with it. Oh, interesting. So I am incorrect. Jon opted to go second with game 2. And here we go. That's essentially the same turn 1 Robert had game 1. Frohickey into Langley. So Jon's going to start his first turn. Well, he's going to discard 1 here, which will take him down to 6 cards. So he'll draw 2 more before he actually makes a play. But Robert's got a bunch more cards in his hand. He could potentially chip this hand apart even more. I don't know that No You Move was that impactful of a card. So this is a much weaker opening hand for Smallwood, but it's still a pretty brutal opening hand. Jon clearly in game 2 decided he was going to try to value card advantage over tempo, opting to go second to see a few more cards. And man, I wish his Doctor Strange was moved over enough that we could actually see his main character here. I'm not sure what that location from hand was for. I don't know the Doctor Strange main character well enough that I can quote his superpowers, but he must have one that costs a red. It does. It lets you search your deck for a basic location, reveal it, and add it to your hand. So my guess is he pitched the red, searched for a different location, and wrote that. And he is playing completely off camera. I'm going to assume he played Ice Worms again, since it seems like that's his general game plan. Come on, Jon. Scoot him over a little bit for me, buddy. Alright, so he's we can see Doctor Strange turned right, and he's attacking with a Earth's Mightiest Heroes to get a wound on 1 of the Outriders. Which, against a normal main character, that probably feels like a pretty strong turn 1. Oh, brutal. So, Smallwood is going to come after the hand again. Man, between Black Widow and Langley, there's just no avenue for Jon to get back into this game. So at turn 2, we have to assume there's 2 wounds on Doctor Strange, even though we can't see him. Given the nature of the attacks Smallwood is making here, he's definitely committing big clumps of Outriders to ensure that there's enough damage to get the attack through, and that it's a bailout card like Earth's Mightiest Heroes. It's not gonna bail him out in this situation. You've got to be either all good or all evil for Earth's Mightiest Heroes to act as a combat cancel, and +2/+2 is just not enough combat interaction to deal with what Outriders is putting down. So the first sign of weakness on Smallwood's side of the board. He moves one of his 6 main characters to the back row. So, given that we're seeing +1 counters just come raining down from the sky, I'm going to guess Smallwood played a Yondu and chose the... Gosh, is the good affiliation that lets him put +1s on everybody? I think it's good, and evil puts -1s on the opposing side. So I'm guessing this card that's on the far right here that we can just barely see on Smallwood's board was a Yondu. That kind of lines up with where we're at resource-wise. And we have to assume that there are now 3 wounds on Doctor Strange, given the attack we're seeing here from Smallwood. So I will mention to the guys, well, to the people in our rounds going forward to try to pay attention to where their cards are and keep them as close to center as possible, especially because of the weird cropping issues that we run into here with Skype recordings. So I'm assuming that red from hand is to Doctor Strange's power. Yeah, it looks like Jon's hopping into his deck. So I suspect we're going to see a location come out. My guess is he grabbed that blue and then pitched it from hand to Heimdall's effect here. So he spent 1 recruit point. What is that? Christine Palmer again? I just can't quite see the card. My guess is that he went after Palmer again. It is interesting that Jon has opted to dump cards from hand to avoid Black Widow and Langley shredding his hand, but for a combo deck, that's pretty rough. So Palmer is going to heal a wound off of Doctor Strange at the start of the main phase. But, I mean, this is just spit in the ocean at this point. It is... He's taken 3 wounds. He's going to heal 1 off, but I don't think that's going to be enough to stop the aggression coming his way from Smallwood and the Outriders. I just don't think it's going to be there. Can't tell what Robert recruited there, but I don't think it's actually relevant. At this point, he has more than enough attacks to cut through Heimdall and Palmer, assuming that they're thrown up in the front row. Lazarus Bowl, goodness. So all Jon has to defend his main character at this point are 2 support characters who are not going to present any kind of intimidating stats or blocking ability. So I think what we're going to see here is just a series of Outrider attacks. Oh, now we can fully see Yondu. Yep, so that was Yondu last turn from Robert. So we've got 2 Outriders coming in. Is that maybe a team attack on Palmer? It seems like it would be unnecessary to team attack that character, but maybe there was a reason he opted for the team attack there. So it looks like we've got Yondu clearing either Heimdall or Christine, and then a team attack from Outriders. Oh, he had Albert Tanner out on the board too. Okay. So team attack into Albert Tanner, team attack into the main character, and it looked like Yondu to clean up Christine. I'm not sure what hit Heimdall there. There's probably something else on Robert's board that I can't quite see. And right now, I can't even think of what cards Jon would need to draw in order to bail himself out of this. That Lazarus Bowl would have been nice because that could translate into pulling Christine Palmer back out of the KO pile and healing another wound and forcing this to go yet 1 more turn. Rob has all of his locations face down now, so the idea that Black Widow is going to keep chipping away at the hand is starting to look less likely, and that might allow Doctor Strange... If Doctor Strange can get to his win condition, he just shuts the door. He just takes infinite turns, and that's that. So him getting beat up down low on these early turns is not a huge deal, provided that he can stick a couple of COSs and go infinite. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to stick anything to the board. None of his characters have survived long enough to really have any significant impact. And given the overwhelming board flood that we're seeing on Smallwood's side here... Oh, okay, so that use of last one there from Jon is going to... Or was that a discard? So I thought that Jon played last one, but maybe he was forced to discard through some other effect. Game over. Looks like we got a scoop here. Okay, unfortunately, that was just a Outrider bloodbath, which is what Outriders tend to do, so... Thanks again to everybody for participating. Sorry it didn't pan out, Jon. And we will see you guys in the next match of the Multiverse Invitational. Congrats to Robert Smallwood for winning his round 1 game.